Welcome back to Yelling and Screaming. 2025 NFL season is here, Sean.
Let's
It's back.
go. Finally.
There's
Wasted
nothing
summer.
quite like football, right? Like I'm a huge baseball fan, but at the end of the day, like 4th of July hits, and I'm like, ooh, training camp. Like,
hmm
there's just
Yeah,
something about football. Something about NFL football.
football season is one of America's truest seasons. Everybody wants to talk about, your classic four. We live in Arizona, so we really don't have four seasons. But it really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, this is the one that brings people together, football season. I can call my mom, I can call my dad, I can call anybody, and one of the first things that they're going to ask me is, did you see the game? Are you watching the game? So it's great to be back.
You might notice if you're a longtime fan, I don't have our viewers up right now, but it is Saturday morning. So we're going to make a format shift for the season. If you catch us live, we're going to take over your NFL Sunday pregame slot because you just have that on for background noise anyway. Boomer Esiason hasn't known who he's talking about for 40 years. You might as well throw on Yelling and Screaming, and we can give you overblown reactions to what happened on Thursday. We can give you bad insight into what happens on Sunday, and you can support small business instead of Fox or CBS. Just saying.
Look, we want to make sure that we give you all the content that you need to scream at your TV the same way we're going to do all day Sunday. So what better day to do it right then and there than in that morning slot? We're excited about it. I'm excited about it. Rick's going to force me to wake up early in the morning on a Sunday morning, even though Arizona. I mean, we start pretty early. We're up at we're watching games. We're at our viewing parties and everything at 10 a.m. So this is going to be a fun little shift, and I'm excited about it. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as we're going to.
One more piece of business before we jump into it. Shout out to our friends at Phantom Odds. If you've ever played fantasy football and wanted to bet against your friends with those lines that ESPN spits out, like, oh, I'm a 40-point favorite. Okay, well, put your money up. Put your money where your mouth is. Phantom Odds exports that data and allows you to create bet slips. They don't handle any of your money. They'll let you make bet slips. You can take them to your friend and be like, hey, look, sign right here. We're going to put some cash down on this point spread. So phantomadds.com. There's a referral link in the comments of this video, in the description of the video. Please take a look. It's a very cool concept, and they will love your feedback. And hopefully your league loves it as much as the Q&W stack has.
Yeah, this year Q&W stack is so much fun. A lot more people in C League than we've had in previous seasons. And, the draft was a great time. People came out and enjoyed and celebrated and just really, really excited for the season. All you fantasy football fans, this is going to be a really, really cool concept to add to you guys' leagues as well. So join Phantom Odds and get those bets in.
All right, Sean. New format means we got games to talk about that have already happened and happened recently enough where we remember most of the details.
Oh, baby.
Thursday night football. Cowboys fall to the Eagles 20-24. Give me your biggest overreaction. What's your biggest takeaway from this game and blow it out of proportion for me?
My biggest takeaway from this game is that once again, the Cowboys get to look like victims, like everybody's against them on TV. They had 4 hours, realistically, of Jalen Carter being called the scumbag on the face of the earth because he spit on Dak Prescott, only for us to see Dak Prescott spit at him first. And it's something that you've seen in the NFL. They once they pick a side, you kind of get a one-sided story too. You really got to pull the film yourselves. And I felt that there was something that had to have happened beforehand, but they just kept showing just the one little clip. They zoomed in. They showed it from different angles. They slow motioned it, and I was like, "Geez, how many times you got to show a guy spit? Like this is unnecessary." So my hope is that the NFL decides that both guys get fined and they move on. If they suspend Jalen Carter for this call, it really calls into question to me how the NFL looks at these exchanges and the fact that it's reciprocal and that it's one guy. These guys are very passionate against each other. It would frustrate me if they made this a one-sided thing because we could see clearly that it was instigated and it was more retaliation than anything. And honestly, I told my family who was big Eagles fans. I sat at the bar with a guy who was a Cowboys fan, and I said, "How you gonna get spit on and lose? Usually, someone spits on you after you lose, but you got spit on TV, and then you lost." So that was my favorite. That was my biggest reaction from the game. What do you think?
We saw an immediate shift too, right? We'll get to that in a minute. My overreaction is the Eagles are cooked, man. That was not good on defense. The Cowboys were moving the ball essentially at will. Realistically, you are 2 CeeDee Lamb drops away from turning this into a route the other way. Javonte Williams, who is not a world beater by any means, gashed the middle of this defense. The secondary looked out of sorts against – I'm not a big CeeDee Lamb guy, but I don't think it's a crazy stretch to say if you set him aside, there is not another wide receiver of note on this Cowboys team.
Well, Pickens, hold on now. Pickens is the pickup of Pickens. He had some solid hands. He had some good catches in that game. You watched his hands looked real secure. He looked confident in the offense. He looked definitely less shaky.
He's doing it against the nickel like a floating safety.
I mean, look, we watch Jordy Nelson. We watch wide receivers up in New England butcher guys in the middle of the field. We watch tight ends like Travis Kelce do this every day of the week. Just because you're not lined up as an X or Y doesn't mean that you're not important. And if you think about the transitions that the Eagles have had on defense, where they've lost some guys over the middle, losing Jalen Carter, I think for me, the reason why I don't feel like the Eagles are completely cooked is because, number one, it's a rivalry game. Number two, you had some movement around the middle of that field, the middle of that offense, and so you've got guys who haven't played as much in those spots. Or needed to make some adjustments to it. The biggest thing for me is that the Cowboys had more time in the backfield than they would have had if the Eagles were at full strength. Jalen Carter is the top 100 defensive player in the NFL. The top 100 player in the NFL. Not defensive, but top 100 player in the NFL. One of the better guys at the pass rush. And so you lose him, and your defense has to make adjustments. Suddenly, Dak's got an extra half second and a half. Suddenly that sack that you see Dak escapes. And so those little tiny details give him some of the extra time that he needs to hit CD on that escape where he runs out to the side and CD's on the side and he catches that ball on the side. Some of those bigger plays were really him escaping from when Jalen Carter being there. That game looks a little bit different in my opinion. That's the only reason why I don't feel like they're cooked. But the secondary looked way softer, and I'm very confused as to why we didn't have Quinyon Mitchell on CeeDee Lamb the entire game. I got 6 tackles from Cooper DeJean, and so I was, he was on my fantasy team, so I was at least happy to see that. But I did see some softness in that secondary, and part of that to me is I think that CD is one of the best receivers in the league, and so you're going to see him get some catches in this game, catches that we expected people of not necessarily the same caliber to be able to, they might drop or they might not get to the ball. But yeah, realistically, at the end of the day, he had 2 to 3 drops that either ended drives or put them in a position where they weren't able to score in the way that they needed to, and so that's your game. That's football. That's a game of inches. My guy, Jalen Hurts looked phenomenal as he has. And just anybody who doesn't think that this man is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, it doesn't care about football. You don't care about watching the game of football. This man has been successful at all levels. He moved from an Alabama program where they decided to move to a guy who they felt like was a more traditional quarterback, goes to Oklahoma, really hones in his ability to be a full quarterback. I'm talking no matter what you need to happen with that ball, he's doing it. He's taking off with his legs when he needs to. He's running the ball successfully, not just to escape, but also to get yards when his team needs them. He's putting the ball to his receivers when they need him to. And he's getting you touchdowns in every way, shape, and form. So, like, I don't know how you can't call this man a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
I know some of the critique comes from a perceived inability to lead the offense as a quarterback. You look at the game on Thursday, 19 for 23 for 152 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. That's a game manager. Now, it's cherry-picking stats, right? He had 62 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand the argument that casual NFL fans make looking at his game, looking at his stats.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me that you take away 62 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns from Hurts, that Saquon isn't going to pick that up.
No.
Right? And
the reason why
game flow, it's a little different situation. Saquon had 60 yards and a touchdown on 18 touches. Hurts and Barkley had essentially the same rushing stat line. And I understand they come by it differently, right? Hurts is moving in the pocket, manipulating a defense that's gotten downfield. But the knock against Hurts usually is that he's not as accomplished of a passer. Cowboys secondary is better than most casual fans know. And, well, I'll get to A.J. Brown in a friggin' minute here, but that's always kind of been the knock against Hurts is he doesn't have that traditional quarterback skill set. You marry all of his stats together, he's a top 5 quarterback, no matter how you slice it. And more importantly, he wins games, right? Like nobody hated Vinny Testaverde until he started losing 9 games a year. Like the guy couldn't sling it, but he won games. Trent Dilfer won games. Jalen Hurts is neither of those guys. Jalen Hurts is an athlete, but I understand the knock from people, especially when he puts up a stat line in a primetime game where he has 152 passing yards.
For me, the statistics don't tell the story in the way that people think, and that's the part that annoys me. Football is not a game of passing. It's not who can throw the ball for 400, 300, 400, 500 yards a game. It's who can score the most points by the end of the game. And when you look at him, he is what I would consider to be a quarterback, a field general. He's more like the quarterbacks that you would have seen in the 60s, 70s, 80s, where you're playing football with 11 men on the field. If your quarterback can only throw the ball, then you're playing football with 10 men on the field and a slingshot. But this man is not that. He is a full-rounded, smart player. Guess what? Is it more important that he throw a 3-yard drag or 3-yard in or a 5-yard out in order to get a touchdown? Or he runs the ball in himself? He realizes that everybody else's job can be to block while I move the ball down the field when my team needs me to. And that is something that every team should appreciate. The problem I have is people want to knock the stat line. I don't give a shit about the stat line. Is it more important that what if his 60 rushing yards were the additional 60 passing yards? Would you have knocked him if he had 210 passing yards but 3 passing touchdowns? No, you wouldn't have said shit. You would have been like, oh, he had an efficient game, which, by the way, he had an efficient game. He did not make any mistakes. At one point, his stat line was 13 for 15 for 111 yards. Well, guess what? All of those yards mattered, and each one of those not dropped passes or each one of those not incomplete passes matters in moving the ball down the field and drives. So my argument is simple. Football is played 11 on 11. If you think a quarterback should just be a pitching machine or a ball machine that shoots the ball out to guys down the field, then you're missing the picture. And there's a reason why the last 2 quarterbacks to truly be successful in the NFL right now are Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, because they do everything with the ball. They're playing 11 on 11, not 10.5 on 11. So,
well, let's talk about quarterbacks who are kind of just pitching machines and whip things down the field and miss the picture. Dak Prescott sucks. I don't think that's news. I like seeing it in prime time, especially through the lens of understanding that he is a dirtbag who got a player ejected, probably with some inflammatory language and spitting on people. Dak was 21 for 34 for 188 passing yards, no touchdowns, no picks, which is a big deal for Dak, but no touchdowns either. Missed wide receivers on deep routes several times. Really Patrick Mahomes-esque. Kind of just put it just a little too far. Talk to me about Dak.
I can never call Dak Prescott Patrick Mahomes-esque. We've seen Mahomes do some things in the last season or so that were not really, I would say, outside of his character for his entire career, in my opinion. But realistically, I'm never going to put him in that category. He couldn't win if he played with little league kids. I'm sick of it. Like, it's hilarious when people keep. Oh my! Dak had a MVP season and he got robbed. I'm like, congratulations! You've been paying this man money after dollars after dollars of dollars. In one season, he did really good in the regular season. Congratulations! Justin Herbert every fucking year. Pardon my French, but every year has the same stat line that Dak had in that season. Joe Burrow did it with the worst defense in NFL history. And still put up 5,000. I don't care about what your regular season passing statistics look like. It means nothing to me. Do you win when we need you to? Point blank, period. People who will look at Dak Prescott and put him over any of these guys that just win games when they need to, are truly, truly doing the same thing that every Cowboys fan has done for the past 30 years, being fucking delusional. The team should have moved on from him forever ago. They're doing the same thing that they did with Tony Romo, where you had a guy who you liked, who you always kept saying, well, what if we just added this piece? What if we just added this piece? What if we just added this piece? The running game didn't look terrible this week. Granted, again, the Eagles had to make some adjustments. They've lost a lot of defensive players, guys signing to other teams, injuries. You have it. But when I checked, their rushing game did not super outshine Philadelphia's, right? They should have realistically had 120, 130, 140 yards rushing once you really get down to it. But what happened in the second half? They got locked down. They really got locked down. And so if you're Dak Prescott, are you playing 11 on 11? Are you playing football as if you are the guy and no matter what happens, you are the true responsible person? No excuses. CD's got some drops in there, but that happens every football game ever. Guys drop balls, even guys who are sure-handed. You have to find ways to win the game. So that's my Dak Prescott has never been somebody who's performed to where I would even care to put him in the top 10 category, even on his MVP caliber season. I don't give a shit. Guess what? Still didn't win up. Still ended up in the same place in Cancun.
No, I mean, I have almost nothing to add. You hit most of that bag. Friday night football from Brazil. The Chiefs cannot come back. They lose to the Chargers 21-27. This didn't look like the start of a revenge tour to me. They looked kind of soft. Mahomes was missing passes all over the field. I'm not concerned about the Chiefs because I had low expectations for them. Obviously, if I haven't seen any new news this morning, but if Worthy's injury is what it looked like, which is an AC joint injury, you might be without your top two wide receivers now for the first 2 months of the season. Are you concerned about the Chiefs at all?
Honestly, I'm not concerned about the Chiefs until you give me the first couple weeks of the season. And even then, I'm still not too concerned. They have been a team in the past couple of years where they can win even when they're not at their best. What we're seeing now here is what needed to happen, by the way. This was a statement game, a much bigger – same way the Cowboys were supposed to make a statement against the Eagles. The Chargers had to make a statement to say, we are over that hump. We are no longer that mid-tier team where we can miss the playoffs by one game or by one play. Like, that is not who we are. They had to exert their identity. Bringing Keenan Allen back to the team, a sure-handed receiver, a guy that you forget.
Wild. Why did he ever leave?
Money makes the world go around. But he's a sure-handed guy. He's got a phenomenal radius, and he's a guy who has been consistent and he understands that team. He understands their style of play, and you bring him back in, and your offense looks really, really good. Herbert looking really, really good. Thrown for over 300, and just the team felt like it was flowing. The Chiefs had the same issue last year with scoring. The difference is that they also had a defense that stopped everyone else from scoring. People want to argue all day and night about the fact that the referees and the this and the that. But guess what? At the end of the day, they held teams to under 20 points a lot of games in this season. And so the biggest issue for the Chiefs I see is that a lot of these NFL offenses, specifically in their own division, are teams who've gotten better offensively. You're going to look at the Chiefs team. They got to play against the Chargers a second time this season. They got to play against the Raiders twice, who are looking like they could be a better offensive team this season. And so you're looking at the other teams in there. You look at the other teams in their own division. You're like, all right, they got 6 games. The Broncos are a team who last year really, really picked it up and looked like a solid team, and they seem like they've gotten better this year. Defense looks like it's going to be solid. And so you look at the division. The division is no longer a cakewalk. All right. But you have to play good defense if you're not going to be a team that's going to outscore people. And so I think that's what we need to see is, where is their defense looking like after the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season for me? That'll tell me whether or not they're really going to be a team who's just fallen off after last year's Super Bowl, or if they're going to stick around again and be one of those premier teams in the NFL and the AFC specifically.
Omarion Hampton looked solid, not great. That's a pretty good start for the rookie. 15 carries, 48 yards. Was running downhill a bit. They were letting Herbert run. And if Herbert has the same quarterback season he's had since he came into the league, plus 30 to 40 rushing yards a game, and the threat of that movement, Herbert ends up looking a lot more like Jalen Hurts than Jay Cutler. And I think that would open up a lot for this Chargers offense. If Herbert can be in a position to have 300-yard passing games, to strike down the sidelines, Quentin Johnson out of nowhere yesterday, just wide
out of nowhere, dude.
Very crisp routes, looking great. I don't know if it's because Keenan Allen's going to draw the one, but with Johnson,
you got McConkey,
Allen, and Hampton can run wheel routes. He's real good with his hands. And then if Herbert's running,
Conklin's not bad either.
Scary. This is a scary Chargers team. And to your point, played really, really good defense last year. This is still a Harbaugh team. He knows defense pretty well. I think the Chargers overreaction Saturday, right? I mean, based on what I saw Thursday, Friday, Chargers are my favorite to win the Super Bowl. They looked good in every aspect of the game. And like, if Herbert can develop this part of his game and be the same passing threat he's been since he came into the league, give me the Chargers, man. I really enjoyed watching it. I really liked what I saw from them from a scheme standpoint.
I'm not that sold on the Chargers. I mean, absolutely solid game. There's your take right there. Solid game from them. Great game against a divisional rival. That's also something that you got to take into account. People definitely don't always look at that when they're looking at these. But I will give them their flowers. They absolutely played a great game. For me, a couple of things. One, missed opportunities. At the end of the day,
I'm betting them right now to win the Super Bowl.
The Chargers right now to win the Super Bowl. I will take that bet any day of the week. Until the Chargers show me they can beat a team like the Bills, until they show me they can beat a team like the team like the Ravens, who only got better on offense, I'm not sold at all on that. Josh Allen has been throwing the ball to any wide receiver, anywhere on the field, whoever the hell it is. And so until I see some consistency out of this Chargers offense, definitely not sold on it. What I will say is, honestly, my favorite call of this game has to be Eisen on the Butker extra point miss. Butker misses the extra point, surprisingly, wide right. Oh, far right is what he said, or something like that. Hilarious call. Excited for the Chargers. Definitely looks like that they've filled a couple of holes in their defense and really have their offense rolling this season. Hampton looks like he's going to be the guy, and he's going to be solid. The Chiefs' defensive line is still a pretty good defensive line in the NFL, and so it makes sense that Hampton didn't just kind of blow up everywhere on that run. But if your D line is really good, then you kind of you got to get your quarterback rolling out, and so those extra yards made sense for Herbert because the Chiefs' D line was really, really, really stacking the box, and so if he's able to get some space on the outside and use his legs, by all means, he better do that. He needs to prove this season that he is not just a stat stuffer. He needs to prove this season he's not just the reincarnation of Phillip Rivers. So I feel for them. I hope that they have a pretty successful season as long as they don't beat my Raiders. But yeah, Chargers looking much better this season. Chiefs looking real shaky a little bit this season.
All right, so on Sundays we'll do like a final countdown kind of thing before we get into the games. Hit any late developing news. Do you have anything? Obviously, it's Saturday, so we got a full day before the games. Do you have any injuries or weather or anything specific you wanted to call out that you think really impacts the Week 1 slate?
Well, a couple of things potentially impacting the slate. Shout out to Hurricane Lorena. Anybody who's in the Southwest right now, please brace yourselves for that. Not sure if it really is going to have any impact on any games this slate, but keep an eye out for that. We really don't typically get hurricanes coming out of the Pacific, the Pacific right around Baja California. And so, you might see some weather in Arizona. You might see some weather coming through Texas late this week. So just be careful with that. But outside of that, Amari Cooper retiring right before the season starts made no fucking sense. Dude, just sign a one-day contract and leave. Do not sign a contract. Do a press conference. Right? No way in hell. He did a press conference about coming back to the team. He practiced with them. It makes no sense. He could have signed a one-day contract and just did a press tour and said, I'm going to retire. And everybody would have been perfectly fine with it. We loved him there. AC/DC connection was great. We had a great time with that. Loved it to death. One of the best season of Derek Carr's career. But to come back, practice like you're going to play, and then fucking retire 2 days before the season starts? Are you kidding me? I had him on my fantasy team. I thought guy coming back to the team, same as Keenan Allen, generally knows the system, loved by the city. By all means, bring him back. Now I'm like, you piece of shit. You just wasted a roster spot for my team. I hope you burn. The last thing I want to say, too, is 2 injuries right now. A-Chain just pulled off the injury list, but that backfield is shaky. We've got an IR, and we've got their backup is out, so be aware of that. And then CMC calf, he didn't practice on Thursday. Friday, I think he's not practicing either. So we'll see how that works out. Those 2 teams, if you got their backups in fantasy, you got whoever's available as their backup in fantasy, take a look at that. Might be somebody for you guys to pick up. So those are my 2 guys for the potential injuries, goodness, that might impact the game this week.
I know 49ers fans are traditionally completely delusional. They went and got Brian Robinson for a reason, and it's because Christian McCaffrey's washed up. This guy, I don't know that you should think he plays a single game. I think he will, but I'm never going to be sitting there 15 minutes before kickoff like, ooh, pumped for Christian McCaffrey today.
I got Brian Robinson.
Yeah, well, so much of his game was the jump cuts and the hard stops. And it's like, if there's anything wrong with him from the waist down, he's not a good running back. And he knows that. And he's not going to play because he already got paid. Like, I'm good. I'm good without CMC this year.
He's got the LaShawn McCoy action without his body, his lower half stability. He just doesn't have it. And he's early in his career, he took a lot of hits on that, and it is catching up to him. His body frame is not built to take that type of hits and also continue to have ACLs and MCLs and everything else that you need to be able to make those moves. So good luck to him, but I just don't see him having another full season under his belt. So you got to find a sturdier back. That's what it comes down to, kids.
All right, let's hit this slate. Let's start with the chain link game of the week. We're going to go the Lions at Lambeau Field taking on the Packers in a really early NFC North big game. Do you think this is a must win for the Lions? Do they have to get this one to have a shot at the division, to have a shot at following through on everything they built last year?
I don't think that it is for two reasons. One, I'm still not sold on Jordan Love. Last season they had a hell of a season, obviously in a stacked division, and I don't see the Vikings being the same team as they were last year. Last year for me felt like a fluke, and honestly, the system, it just really looks like it works really well up there for them. But I feel like the Lions have such a talented team on both sides of the ball that they're a team who can afford to take this game as a warm up. They're a team who could take this game as one where they do good scouting. So I'm not sold on this game being a must win for the Lions. I do feel like it's a must win for the Packers, especially picking up a premier defensive player and Micah Parsons. This guy is somebody who you don't have to figure out what plays to put him in on. You throw him into that lineup and you say, go after that quarterback. And I think he's going to be an excellent addition to that defensive side of the ball for the Packers. The wide receiver cores picking up some guys. It's looking a little different, but they say that Love has got a good connection with them. Romeo Dow is a guy who's been there for a couple years. He's built a good connection with Love, and Christian Watson had been the guy before, and so it feels like he could be, Dak could have a solid season with, not Dak, sorry. Jordan Love could have a solid season.
Freudian slip there.
Freudian slip there, yeah, sorry. He had to have a solid season with with his receivers this year. I think that the run game is still solid. So I'm not, I definitely want to say the Packers have an absolute shot here. I think it's definitely more of a must-win game for them than it is for Detroit. It just looks like Detroit overall as a team is built to be able to succeed later on in the season. And so even if they take this game off or if this game isn't a win for them, I think they have the better chance of winning out in a division.
So I'm with most of what you said, but I'm going to take the opposite position. I think this is a must win, and I think it's because of your last statement there. This Lions team will get better as the season goes on. They are built for the long haul. So I think a warm weather game at Lambeau week 1 is a huge spot for the Lions. I think it's a must win because if you take the Packers down here and then your team continues to get better the way you spoke of throughout the season, I think the Lions become unstoppable. Stealing a game at home away against the Packers at Lambeau is a huge spot week 1. Not only does it get you a win, it gets you a win against a fierce division rival. It gets you a win against a Packers team on the road that is probably going to be better the next time you play them. So I think if you can secure this win here now, Jaden Reed is hurt. The Packers are still real young. They got to put some pieces together. New scheme for Parsons. I really, really like Gibbs and Montgomery with Parsons there. Parsons is a phenomenal player, phenomenal pass rusher. The hole in his game is he's not great at run defense. So give me two, essentially scat backs who can find a way to get open in the second level. I think there's a big opportunity for this game to be a blowout. I don't think that's what happens. Give me the Lions by about 10. But I think that the Lions are equipped on defense to handle what Jordan Love can throw at them. He's beat them up in the past, and a lot of it's scheme. And so I think that the coaching for the Packers is going to put them in a good position to win. But talent wins out in the NFL more often than not, especially in these early season games. I think if the Lions can score early and force Jordan Love to have to play catch up, I think the Lions secondary, young as they might be in some spots, I think they can take advantage of Jordan Love pushing the ball down the field against the receiving core that includes the guys you've named and like 3 first-round tight ends. I think there's an opportunity there. But it is early, right? So schemes are going to be simplified. Maybe the Lions don't push as hard as they should on defense with a lead. Maybe they don't get the lead at all. If the Packers get the ball to start the game, drive down the field methodically and score, whether it's through the air or on the ground, that immediately changes what the Lions are going to have to do to keep pace. The Packers are capable of scoring 40 points in a game. If you fall 2 scores behind, I think that fundamentally shifts what the Lions are able to do. But
I actually disagree. I actually disagree with that. I think, this is the beauty of yelling and screaming. I think that the Lions are a team who are built to score fast and score in a lot of different ways. And so they are a team who, if they they fall behind by 2 scores earlier in the game, midway through the game, they're going to play the same exact play style. I don't think that they have to make any shifts. I think realistically, because they're a team who could score fast. We've seen that in previous seasons, and they're a team that also plays 4 quarters of football. They're not taking any snaps off, and so that's a Dan Campbell coach team. Like, that's a guy. Those guys are going to be playing all game for this win. They're going to play until that final whistle blows. And so when you look at that, and even if the Packers got up early. Packers get up by 10, let's say, at half, I think that nothing changes for them. They're gonna come out the same way. They're gonna play their same way of football. They're gonna move the ball down the field. They're gonna use those backs who are super dynamic. They're gonna throw some drags, some screens. They're gonna get the ball down the field. Goff has been one of the best passers in the NFL in the past 3 years. The trade between him and Stafford was a weird like for like that worked in both of their favors. And you never really missed a beat with that, with his ability to get the ball to the receivers that he needs to. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to look just as good this season, in my opinion. I don't think that there's going to be a drop-off in his game. And so I really feel like their offense is built to be able to play football 4 quarters and win games, even when they're coming from behind. But if they get up big, I don't see the same thing happening for the Packers. If Detroit gets up by 2 scores, the Packers are not coming back. If the Packers get up by 2 scores, Detroit will not change their game. They're going to come down the field. They're going to say, hey, we're going to score. We're going to score again. We'll stop them. We'll get what we need to do to win this game. So, and he's all about taking chances. We will see onside kicks. We will see 2-point conversions. We're going to see a full slated game of guess what I'm going to try to do next. And that's what I love about the way that the Detroit Lions play football, is that they play it in a very, very exciting way. And the Packers are much more of a traditional looking team, but that inexperience that I see on the receiver core could be a really big downfall for them this week, playing against a very well coached Detroit Lions team in warm weather, you did say, which is also a really big push as well.
Yeah, just wanted to touch on something you said there. It used to be the Clinton Portis, Champ Bailey trade was like the last great player for player trade. That Goff Stafford trade. Dude, Stafford wins a Super Bowl, right?
Immediately.
And Goff revitalizes a Lions team that was bad since Barry Sanders left, But
both of those organizations' offenses were both were solid at that point, and the swap is a more mentality swap than anything.
100%.
Both of them,
it was crazy. It was crazy.
It was wild. It's like both of these guys. I was like, did I really watch that just happen? And then you look at them both play, and they're both like, I got something to prove, and they're both playing at excellent levels. I mean, in any given. They're both top 10 quarterbacks, and they haven't moved away from that in the past couple of years either. So it was a great swap for both of those organizations to revitalize themselves. And we've seen the success happen already with LA, and we're just basically Detroit's just knocking on the door. At any point, they're one healthy running back or one play away. They're one stop away from getting to that next level. And so I'm excited about this season for them as well. I see them as being one of the premier teams in the NFC.
Okay. So, Patricia is not the Lions coach anymore. He's like the offensive coordinator for the Bucks or something, for the Buckeyes.
I said Campbell.
It's Campbell, Dan Campbell.
You're right.
Sorry, my brain was like, wait, hold on.
No worries. No worries.
All right, let us know in the comments who you have. Lions Packers. That game is all the way to Packers -2.5 right now. We are going to get into the main slate. Sean, we got a 4-game late slate and a pretty good early slate. Let's start with Bucks Falcons. This opened like 2.5. This is now sitting 1.5 Tampa Bay. What do you got on Bucks Falcons?
Baker has been showing that he has the ability to win. He has the ability to lead that team. Bucky Irving, if he can get going, it's gonna be a tough route for the Falcons. Defense, not one that I'm ever confident in. But on the other side of the ball, you've got an anomaly. You got a new guy in there in Penix that I see. What he did at Washington State, if he can do anything like that there, just be consistent, control the game, hold the ball, and not make mistakes. The running game is very dynamic, and Bijan, so he can do a lot of things on that side of the ball. And so I can understand why people have it going, a pretty even game there. But I'm going to take the Bucks in this game simply because the team feels more polished. And Baker seems like a guy who, when you need somebody to move the ball down the field, he's going to figure out a way to get that done. And so I'm going to go Bucks here on this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to see this game turn into a shootout. I think it would just be an entertaining one. Baker, obviously, a favorite of mine. And then Penix is somebody I really want to. I really want to see Penix grow in this offense. The wide receivers need to show up for him just a little bit. Bijan needs to put his head down. I got the Bucks here.
Yes. Makes sense.
This next one's one I was going to try to avoid talking about, but as I got into my research and I made my picks and bets, the Raiders going to Foxborough. Give me Raiders to win by a touchdown in this game. I think I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Patriots are going to be better than last year. They will continue to improve. I like what the Raiders are bringing on paper. I'm a little worried about the wide receiving core. Anytime Shorter is going to run meaningful routes for your team, I'd be concerned. But I think overall they've put together a nice team. Obviously, a ton of focus on the running game. You got to get a rookie up to speed quickly. But I'm excited for this one. What do you have on your Raiders?
I'm not going to speak too long on it because I could speak forever, but I'm excited about what Genty brings in there. He's a big body running back. He runs hard. He runs downhill. He's shifty, and he is not going to let you take him down on any first contact. And that's the type of running back that I really love to see. Josh Jacobs was a similar type of guy. Marshawn Lynch was a similar type of guy. Don't need to be 6'5", don't need to be 300 pounds, but you can break tackles and you can be shifty. You can keep yourself from going down. The quarterback play for me is going to be key here. I have watched years and years of inconsistent Raiders quarterback play. Carr was the last guy who I really had any faith in. And I feel like Geno right here with the revitalization of the career in Seattle, and then moving over here and with the new coaching and just having that confidence in your quarterback to say, hey, you go out there, you put the ball where it needs to be, and you get us the wins. You make the plays that you need to. He doesn't have to be a superstar. He just has to not make mistakes. I feel like Brock Bowers is definitely the guy. He's a strong-handed receiver, great guy to have on your offense. And the Patriots, I feel like they still need some pieces to get things together. Warm night in New England will definitely be a benefit for the Raiders coming from Vegas. So I would definitely take the Raiders in this game. In a game that's supposed to be a tight game anyway, I'm going to take my Raiders.
The Cardinals get to go out of hurricane zone into the dome in New Orleans, which is known for being a much safer haven for hurricanes. Why is Spencer Rattler on this team? Why?
Because Oklahoma has had a pedigree of quarterbacks come to the NFL, and if you're an Oklahoma quarterback who has been coached under Lincoln Riley even for 5 seconds, the NFL will give you a chance. Tell me where the success has been, and I'll tell you if they went to Oklahoma. So they'll get this. Honestly, for them, they got nothing really to lose. No one's looking for them to be a premier team, a premier offense in the NFL this year. So give Spencer Rattler a nice season, see what can happen, and then if it doesn't work out this year, I mean, I've watched plenty of guys in the NFL get tries that didn't deserve it. So why not? Another Oklahoma guy, give him a chance.
I guess. I don't see it. Obviously, I'm not in the room, right? I like Jake Haener. I thought Jake Haener fit what they were trying to do really well, and obviously that was wrong. So, like, my takes aren't relevant, especially when it comes to who the Saints start at quarterback. But it's like, I just don't understand drafting quarterbacks to allow them to fight for and lose the job to Spencer Rattler, who is probably not an NFL quarterback. I don't get it. So I'm on the Cardinals, and I hate that this line is sitting where it is. It was 6.5, and now it's still at 6.5. And it's like, that feels like not enough. That feels like a tricky number. You know, like if I lay 6.5 with the Cardinals, the Saints probably win outright. And I'm like, I don't want to bet this game, but I'll pick the Cardinals.
You'll go 6.5 with the Cardinals, and then the Saints will win on a field goal, and it'll just screw you over. I'll tell you right now, I'm not confident in either one of these teams. But I would say of the two of them, if you're going to bet on anybody earlier in the season, you're going to take the Cardinals pre Call of Duty update or a Call of Duty drop. So I'll give it to you. Honestly, beginning of the season every year, give me the first 4, 5, 6 games. I wouldn't mind taking a Cardinals offense and playing in a dome with no issues. You know, with healthy James Conner, another season on his belt with Marvin Harrison Jr. You know, and you've still got a guy who can run the freaking ball, who can move around that field at quarterback. Just give him the focus. Let him be focused right now. We'll see how that works.
You got 8 games. Black Ops 7 comes out on November 14th. Not a sponsor, but should be.
I think a lot of people feel the same way.
There's a big game here because NFL media tells us it's a big game. Steelers Jets. I'm actually excited for this one because I think this feels like a legacy killer, and I am here for it. I am absolutely here to see Aaron Rodgers crash and burn. This would be 3 years in a row where he doesn't look good in an opener. For Justin Fields to be the weapon that kills the legacy of Aaron Rodgers would be so poetic. Give me the Jets to win this game. Give me Aaron Rodgers with more interceptions than touchdown passes.
Honestly, I'm not sold on this one only because the Steelers have just been such a consistent team no matter who's been playing quarterback. And so for me, any Mike Tomlin's coach team against a team that hasn't shown me a lick of anything in years, I'm always going to bet on them. So I'm going to take the Steelers in this game. The Jets at home in warm weather again, you know, that's good for them. But Justin Fields hasn't shown me anything more than I'm a young, scrappy quarterback who can move around the field a little bit. He's going to have some healthy players who are really good impact players on his offense. But I'm not sold on the Jets at all this season. And I'm not. And the thing about Rodgers for me is that in Pittsburgh, he's got to be a game manager. He doesn't have to. He gets to go back to what he was better known for, and as a quarterback, is being an efficient quarterback. So he doesn't have to throw for 300 yards in a game for the Steelers to win. He needs the Steelers defense to be the defense that they've been consistently, and he needs to make sure that he doesn't make mistakes. So if he doesn't throw for three interceptions in this game, then the Steelers win this game. But if he decides he's going to try to be a slinger, it's a wrap. It's over. I mean, it's over.
He's going to have to manage because this Steelers team is going to run out 2 tight ends. I mean, realistically, it's fairly and like there's no wide receivers on this team. DK I still think is a beast, but then you got Calvin Austin, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skoranek. Like it's a who's who of like nobodies on this Steelers team at wide receiver. So Freiermuth's good. Jonnu Smith fits Aaron Rodgers' skill set really, really well. I mean, is Jaylen Warren going to carry the rock 30 times a game? Maybe.
Probably. Their running back core is going to get 30 to 35 carries a game minimum. They have to. That's a ground and pound. Like if that he's a heavier guy, you expect him to run downhill. If you think in the Jets, to me, have had inconsistencies. They've had seasons where they've had good defensive lines and seasons when they've been Swiss cheese. And so if you think that their secondary is going to be more of a challenge, what are you going to do? I'm going to stack that line. I'm going to make you stop me at that line. I'm going to bring in big bruisers. I'm going to bring in those tight ends. I'm going to keep Freiermuth close to the chest. I'm going to have DK out there fucking blocking. Everybody's blocking. And you know what? Rodgers is going to get rid of that ball, hand that bitch off, and they're going to just run it down the Jets' throat. If the Jets can stop the run and they can control the clock, then the Jets win this game because they have much more talented offense. Realistically, they've got guys who are AAU-style football players where they're just Swiss Army knives. They can just move. They're quick. They're agile, but they got to be healthy. But realistically, the Steelers are just they're gonna control this like grown men. That's what it comes down to for me. And so Aaron Rodgers, if he's efficient, if he doesn't throw the ball away, then they win this game. Not because he played good, but because he didn't play bad.
Yeah, 3-point favorites total on this 37.5. I mean, this is a AFC North grind fest is what Vegas is predicting.
Typical.
Talk to me about the 49ers and the Hawks.
Niners got some issues, man, on that offense. They still haven't figured out a true identity in that receiver core anymore. They just had bodies moving around every once in a while. And it's really cool when everyone's a Swiss Army knife, but now it's like, okay, well, I don't know what's going to happen here. Obviously, you got issues in that backfield with the health. Brian Robinson is a great pickup to just fill in that role. And if he works well in the scheme, which I would expect him to, then you're not going to have you won't have everyone's still hoping for that CMC 2,000 yards from scrimmage offensive 2,000 2,500 yards from scrimmage, and it's gone. It's been gone realistically after that first season. You guys are still hoping for 22, 23-year-old CMC legs. It's not realistic. But Brian Robinson is a very good running back. I think that he can fill in that role and probably put up if CMC doesn't play anymore, Robinson gets 1,000 yards rushing, maybe 900 yards rushing, something like that. Like he has a very productive season at running back. Their defense needs to just hone it in. It does. If their defense hones it in, then I'm not seeing the Seahawks really do what they need to do. At the end of the day, the Seahawks with Geno Smith, he revitalized that offense and made that team feel special to me. I don't know if I see the same now. So I'm going to take the Niners in this one, but I feel like it's going to be a closer game, especially divisional game. Thankfully, again, that warmer weather. Earlier on in the season, seeing some of these games where teams aren't going to be playing in as cold weather, it'll be interesting to watch this game.
Yeah, I said in our off-season show, the Seahawks look to me like a knockoff version of last year's Seahawks. They got worse at all the skill positions that they changed. You know, running back, Walker's really good. Charbonnet is probably the best RB2 in the league. But
I don't know, Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson.
Wow. No, I said RB2.
Fair enough. 1.5.
You downgrade across the board at wide receiver. I'm staying away from this game. My official pick is the Niners, but I don't know what to expect from the Niners. It's a pretty simplistic offensive system. Brian Robinson should just be able to plug in. So the question for me is like, how much McCaffrey do they try to use? And can he be efficient with those touches? If he gets 15 touches and 100 scrimmage yards off of them, it really doesn't matter that he didn't play the whole fourth quarters because he did his damage. But, if they have him out there and he's not efficient, I think that'll be an immediate detriment to.
I hate using this comparison, but the way that the Cowboys used Turpin and Williams, where you saw Turpin in the beginning, and then you saw the volume that they just switched over to Williams because he just was more effective, and you could see that the volume work that he was getting just made more sense. I think that they're going to try CMC out. I think that they're going to realistically, if they have him in at all, if I'm them, I'm not doing it. Realistically, Brian Robinson is perfectly capable of running the entire offense this game without needing CMC to be in there. You give him the extra week against personally a weaker defensive team, in my opinion. You just give him the extra week. You let Brian Robinson get accustomed to that offense because CMC knows the offense, so it's not like it's going to hurt him. So you bring in the guy who you feel like can be your workhorse. Allow him to continue to rest and get himself back into true NFL get his body working the right way, and you could have a very strong 1-2 punch this season if you're San Francisco.
Huge Sunday night game, Ravens and Bills. These are the two odd-on favorites to win the Super Bowl. Obviously have to go through each other. This open Bills 1.5, 2 some places. This is Ravens 1.5 pretty much across the board now. Totals up to 50.5. What do you expect from what could be a preview of the AFC Championship game?
Shootout. Flat out shootout. Lamar is getting more talent on his offense. Are you fucking kidding me? The man is already on a tear. His season last season, in my opinion, it was voter fatigue. I thought that he should have won MVP. I felt like he had a strong season. And you just add another dynamic receiver in there, a guy who's got sure hands over top of the guys he already had. I mean, anybody who want to discount Zay Flowers is fucking insane. That man is a very, very talented receiver. Bateman was solid. And then you got another season with Derrick Henry on your belt, a man who came in second in rushing to a guy who had to rush for over 2,000 yards. Like, come on. Are we kidding here? This offense is insane. The Bills, on the other hand, Josh Allen just finds ways to get the ball to whoever he needs to. He is, if Peyton Manning was Andrew Luck, and his ability to move around the field and get the ball down the field using his legs, but also he plays the most polished version of Jalen Hurts is Josh Allen, in my opinion. He just has such an awareness of the field. The biggest issue for me is just he can't beat Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what he is, but that man haunts his fucking nightmares. Anybody else in the league, any given day of the week, that man is like, you are nothing but a peon to me. But him and Lamar against each other, this duel so early in the season to watch these guys, and it's more of the NFL is so smart with this. They said, look, we're going to do rivalries every way we can. We're going shootouts with quarterbacks. We're going team versus team. We're going player versus player. These two guys, MVP caliber quarterbacks in strong offenses in early game in the season is going to give you something so fun to watch. I've got the Ravens in this game just because I can't see how the Bills can stop such dynamic offense. I mean, the only thing that comes down to is whether or not Lamar makes mistakes. If Lamar gets 1 or 2 interceptions, that's the end of the game. That could be it. But realistically, to me, it comes down to whether or not he makes mistakes.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. I'm on the Bills, but I think a lot of what you say rings true for me. I mean, this is a premier type game. This is a playoff environment type game. We're getting into week 1, and I think the only thing I dislike about this game is it's on Sunday Night Football, and I have to listen to them prattle on without any other games to pull audio from. So maybe it'll be Sunday Night Baseball for me on the audio, but my eyes will be glued to this game. This is going to be must watch. If you're an NFL fan, this game will not only be super entertaining, but this game will dictate how this season ends up in January. This is a game that matters.
This is a big game.
This is a big game. Matter in tiebreakers, and I want the Bills to win this game so they can be in the driver's seat to tank week 17 and 18 to intentionally avoid the side of the bracket Mahomes is on. Right, like you don't want to play Mahomes until the AFC Championship game, so we can bury them behind the Ravens and just wait and wait and wait. And if you have a win in pocket against the Ravens already, maybe make them come up to Buffalo. And, oh, man, this game is football. And the styles of the offense are complementary. They're not totally different, but I would love to see them go head-to-head in a meaningful way. I hope this game delivers on all the promise. I got the Bills winning. I think they're the better team, but this Ravens team is a top 3 team in the NFL. So you must
be giving a lot of money. You must be giving a lot of love to the Bills defense over that Ravens offense. I'm sorry, but there is no way in hell I could bet against that Ravens offense putting up 35 points in any game. Any game. Bills offense can show really high ceiling. Bills offense is a crazy high ceiling, but their defense also can be mediocre at times. But this Ravens offense is electric, and it only got better. If you can name 3 receivers,
35-31 Ravens at the 2-minute warning, would you be shocked?
Not at all.
Right? Like Bills 38-35, Ravens 38-31, something like that. Like just going away.
This game is going to both teams are scoring at least 30 points. That's just I think the over-under should have been 60. Right? If it's not 60, you're not. You don't watch football. And it's warm weather too. It's not like they're just going to be running the ball. No, this is going to be a fun game.
Monday Night Football, I think maybe another good one. It's not Ravens Bills, but the Minnesota Vikings come to Chicago. New look Chicago, kind of, but obviously players developing. Bears are 1.5-point underdogs at home. I think that's fair. But having said that, I think the Bears win this game. I think if you listen to the Bears fans, they're going to win all their games this year going away. We know that's not going to happen. We know that's not the case. But I think this one early in the year against a really unproven quarterback for the Vikings, I think this is the spot where the Bears could show you their potential. And what I'm afraid of for Bears fans everywhere, and specifically our friends who are Bears fans, is what happens if the Bears win this game by 14 and then they're actually bad and they start the season like 1-5. I don't think that they can handle that. I think that would break a lot of Bears fans.
I hate to say it, but I'm 100% in agreement with you. I got the Vikings winning this game because their scheme has been proven to work, no matter what quarterback you plug in. Realistically, you look at the last couple of seasons, and each time everybody was shaky on the Vikings quarterback. Sam Darnold, that guy's not going to be that great. Case Keenum, who the fuck is this? Like, you're looking at these quarterbacks who have played in other places, and the Kevin O'Connell system works. It's a good system. And, realistically, the Bears haven't proven to me anything. I think Caleb Williams is, and I hate to say this, but I think he's a guy who's going to take a lot of heat in the media, and it affects the way he plays. I think it does. And I think, hey, cut it out. I think that at the end of the day, he's a guy who is going to take so much slack that it really is going to get to him. And so for me, I'm more sold on the Vikings in this game. A game, by the way, that if they're a dome team, so not having to play in super cold weather in Chicago is going to be a benefit to them. McCarthy's got nothing to lose. He's got no real nothing to go up against. For him, he's just gets to go out there and sling and no expectation. And they brought back Thielen, so you now have now you have a premier wide receiver in the NFL, and you bring back a guy who has shown you consistently to have short hand. J-Jet is the guy.
I thought you were talking about
Thielen? No. Let me cook. All right. J-Jet has shown to be consistently a premier receiver in the league, and Thielen has been a guy for that organization who has shown so much love and respect. And as a two, you couldn't have a better guy. Even when he was over in Carolina, they still had respect for him there. And so coming back to that organization, I feel like understanding the scheme, understanding the style of play, and I think he can just plug back in and similar to Keenan Allen, just be a guy who can get you some productivity there. And so you're going to get some familiarity. You're going to get leadership from him as well. And so you get those things together in an offense that has shown that they don't have to score 35 points, but their scheme works and they know how to win when they need to in the last couple of years. I'm going to take Minnesota in this game. Whether it's a close game or not really comes down to whether or not Caleb Williams keeps the mistakes out of his head. He does not have a short-term memory. They stick around for a while. If he can have a short-term memory and he can use the weapons that he has in his offense, I think that this will be a better game for him, but I'm going to go with Minnesota on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bears.
That's fair.
I'm excited to watch this one. This should be a solid game from a schematic standpoint. So it's definitely one that'll have my attention.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's the slate. Sean, is there any other games you wanted to touch on quickly?
I mean, not too much. There's a few other games in here, that I think we should watch, and mostly players starting out. I mean, the Broncos-Titans game. I'm excited to see Bo Nix's second season. Realistically, that AFC West, every year people kind of weirdly, it used to be just the Chiefs, and now we're seeing a lot more development in that division. And so Broncos potentially a team to watch. I'm excited about that. The Jaguars, Panthers, stinker. I haven't had any confidence in Trevor Lawrence since he came into the league. I thought he was all bells and whistles, and I'm just waiting for the Jaguars to move to London. And then, Rams, Texans, there's some earlier on potential issues with Stafford injury reports. It looks like he's healthy. It looks like he'll play no problem. CJ Stroud finally, hopefully getting some help on the offensive side of that offensive line, getting his guy back, his receivers back, and having a full season together. You could see some nice things from that offense. So the Giants, Commanders, sophomore season with Jaden Daniels, Giants out there with whoever at quarterback, whoever at running back, just hoping that somebody shows them that they can do something well after making the dumbest decision ever in paying Daniel Jones and letting Saquon go. So we'll see how that offense fares this season. I'm just excited.
Football's back, baby. Football's
back, baby. I could talk for days and days and days. Unfortunately, kids, we only get an hour.
So we'll tighten up this format a little bit. Again, we're going to be live on Sunday mornings to get into your pregame. So watch out for announcements on that. We're also going to get a new bet board format out. You'll see that on socials later today. And then we'll work that into the show as we kind of fine tune the nuts and bolts of the timing of this. Shout out to Phantom Odds for their support. If you play fantasy football, there's no reason you shouldn't be on Phantom Odds. What else?
They make it super easy for you to join up. Chainlink. Don't forget about Chainlink, kids. Both of these two really, really cool programs for us. Anybody who loves sports betting, we want to make sure that you have all the options that you have available. Really cool concepts. So Chainlink, Phantom Odds, by all means, get together with your friends and get your sports betting on.
Sounds good to me. Hey, this has been yelling and screaming. Sean, let's get week 1 in the books, man. This is going to be a good season.
Let's get it. It's going to be a great season. Honestly, I'm excited. Thank you, Rick, for bringing me back, man. It's been a while, and it feels good to be home. Let's just say it feels good to be home.
Hell yes. Enjoy NFL Sunday, and if you're a college football fan, we got you done in time to go watch some more game days. So Enjoy, guys. Oh, yeah, Badgers, baby.
Let's go.
Yelling and screaming. We'll see you guys next week.